Hey, hello, this is Jean with the podcast Thrive Not Survive. After abuse, today we're going to talk about, again, like yesterday, we're going to talk about the importance of storytelling, and I'll give you a framework how to tell your story every time, or not even your story, any story, right? Any story, if you want to captivate your audience, you need to follow some sort of a structure. And in this that way, actually, all your stories will be, captivating, so to speak. Now, you could say, hey, but why is that important? Actually, the easiest way to understand is if you think, if you tell a story, you want the other people either to be entertained, you want them to believe you. Maybe even you want to sell a product, right? You want to have them be emotionally involved in what you tell. If you and don't immediately turn away from that. In principle, you always want to sell something when you tell. You want to convince something, even if you want to entertain something. You want to help people to have a good time. In principle, that's not different than selling, because selling is only a good sales if both parties are happy, right? If someone invests time in you to listen to you, you want to make sure that that the time that they spend on listening to you is actually good spent time. Does that make sense? So that's it. I'm going to walk you through a model. It's about 8 steps, and it's coming from the book, Expert Secrets from Russell Brunson, and in which he explains about the importance of storytelling, and he gave several frameworks in there how to do that. And I might give it a little bit my own spiel here and there, but basically I follow that. So if you have time and you want to read up on that, go to and grab that book, Expert Secrets. It's a little bit more for commercial needs, but it works in all kind of situations, right? Now, all the stories I told you that yesterday, all the stories that you hear, the big stories in movies, they all follow the same pattern. Literally, they do. They do. They follow the same pattern. You can find it whether you watch Star Wars or you do Harry Potter, stuff like that. They follow the same kind of logic, and people like that. It doesn't really matter, as I told you yesterday, what culture, what gender, what genre it is the story is about. There's only one thing that's so it follows the same pattern, but it's all stories that has something to do with a hero or a group of heroes, right? It's always something that happens, and you could actually say that in all these stories, the hero or the main character always goes on a journey, and it doesn't have to literally go from place A to place B. It could be a virtual place A to place B in their mind. They go through a certain journey, right? So hence, either in reality or in in the mind, the people have to leave where they are. So all the hero stories, let's take two. Let's take Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit. At some point in time, he has to overcome something and say, okay, I'm going to leave my house in the Shire, which I'm so comfortable with, and I go on an adventure. Yeah, I go on an adventure. Harry Potter, same thing. It was a little bit virtual, but he lived under the cupboard, and then someone wants to have him going to Hogwarts already. But so his stepdad, for some reason, was able to move them all the way to an island with, I don't know, a lighthouse on it. But then Hagrid came, and the hero, Harry Potter, actually had to physically leave his step family, which he was unhappy with and he was struggling with anyhow. So all great journeys start with that. They start with that. Sometimes people resist, why they go on an adventure, or they have to come through an inside why they have to leave behind what they have believed, because that's often what the safe place stands for, to go on that adventure. And that actually already is that. Now, so in my case, when I wrote my book, actually I wrote my story, I had to leave my stories behind. I had to leave. I wanted to get free from the prison that was caused by the abuse that I've been through in my life as a kid. I didn't know that at the time, but it's now, if I have to reconstruct how my story is, that is what the story is about, right? I had to leave that behind. So there's a little bit more in my mind, but in some cases I can tell you, I literally ran away physically to leave that behind, but I had to leave some stuff in my mind behind to do that. So every time that you do that and you want to make an exciting story, tell them first what your backstory is, right? So we see Harry Potter, he lived in a cupboard, he lived in a family that didn't love him very much, so he wanted to escape. He couldn't escape because the family didn't want to. I was 7 years old when things happened to me, but by the time I was 12, I want to escape, this domestic violence. I want to just, I wanted to find, I knew that staying in that environment of hate, it was not a good thing. I had to find an escape from that. Does that make sense? And Bilbo Baggins, obviously, he had this, he had this fight in himself. Do I go for an adventure, or do I stay in the comfort of the Shire? But he wanted to go for growth, and so he picked, of course, the latter, and he went on an adventure. Oh, the former, and he went on an adventure. So that's the backstory. Every time when you tell a story, start always a little bit with, give people a context. What is the backstory of the story of where you want to go with this story, right? So you give them the current situation, or you give them the situation where it started, right? So every story starts with that. Now, how can you use that? Yeah, use that also when you start to tell your story, and it could be the story of abuse. I will do a special on that, by the way, and that. So every story starts with the backstory, and then the second step we do is actually what is that person, Harry Potter? What is he actually after? He has an external desire, and the external desire was not immediately known for us, but he had it already, and that's actually he wants to take revenge of what Voldemort, Lord Voldemort, he who cannot be mentioned, did to him. That was his external desire, but he had definitely an internal desire too. And there's always the hero or the group of heroes, they have both, right? They have an external desire and they have an internal desire. So, in his internal desire was he just wanted to be accepted. He wanted to be accepted as a wizard. So he had to prove himself. That was his internal desire. But the external desire was that. In my case, my external desire is, this evil has to leave the world. The evil of abuse has to leave the world. So a lot of the things that I do, podcasts for instance, has to do with my external desire. My internal desire, however, is to be at peace with what happened to me. I want to thrive in life and not survive. I don't want to be at peace with it, right? Might be a journey forever, but we'll see how my story will end in the next episode. So 2 steps I want you already to look at. What is the backstory? And what are the desires that you're after? And that's always true. So if you make it your personal story, then do that. If you want to make it a story by someone for someone else, it could be a group of people. It could be, a little bit more conceptual even. Right? If we make it commercial, let's say you have a software product and it's a 2.0, you still want to tell how, excuse me, how 1.0 came into existence. Yeah? Is that clear? So tomorrow we are going to the wall. We talk tomorrow about the wall, and we come back a little bit about the external and internal desire as well, so that we get kind of an overlap repeat. We call it concentric teaching. And to that. So that's in my series, How to Tell Your Story, and this is a general one. Later on we wrap it up and make a special if you are an abuse survivor, how you can use this for your own healing and also to help maybe get this evil out of the world. All right, this was Jean with the podcast Thrive Not Survive After Abuse in the series Storytelling. Yeah, I hope to hear you back tomorrow. Oh, I have to say, of course, tomorrow is Instagram Live. I always do a special on a different topic, but then we'll pick it up the next day. All right. Okay, this was Jean. Glad to hear you next time as well. Bye bye.